Welcome back everybody to xxxtentacion TV. In this video, I want to do the ultimate breakdown for the Khabib Nurmagomedov vs Dustin Poirier fight. In this video, I will give you guys the tale of the tape. I will give you guys my own personal fighter cards that I have made. I will break the fight down, and then at the end, I will tell you guys who I think will win come fight night. If you guys would like more work from me, check out the description, follow me on my social media platforms, join my Discord server, or even purchase some xxxtentacion TV merchandise. So with that being said, let's continue on with the video. Let's start off with the tale of the tape. The undisputed lightweight champion Khabib Nurmagomedov stands in at 5 foot 10 inches tall, weighs in at 155 pounds, has a reach of 70 inches, and fighting out of the orthodox stance, Khabib is 30 years old with an undefeated record of 27 wins with no losses. His opponent, the Diamond Dustin Poirier, the interim world champion, stands in at 5 foot 9 inches tall. He weighs in at 155 pounds with a reach of 73 inches. Dustin fights out of the southpaw stance. He is also 30 years old and has a professional record of 25 wins, 5 losses, and 1 no contest. Dustin is 1 inch shorter than Khabib but has a 3-inch reach advantage, so we'll see come fight night if he can utilize it to his advantage. However, it is time for us to move on to the next part of the video, my own personal fighter cards. The champion Khabib Nurmagomedov has an overall rating of 92, with 87 striking, 97 grappling, 93 stamina, 92 chin, 87 defense, and a 95 physicality attribute. Khabib's standout attribute is obviously his grappling, but one attribute that is also very high up there is his physicality. Khabib is a very physical fighter. He will come right after you, he will be right in your face, he will be using his size over you, and he knows how to use his size against his opponents. Once Khabib has a hold of his opponent, it is pretty rare for us to see that opponent get loose or freed up. All in all, Khabib's card is one of the best in the division, and unquestionably he is the best grappler in the entire division period. Switching over to his opponent, the Diamond Dustin Poirier, we will see that Dustin's card is also pretty highly rated, with a 90 overall rating, with 92 striking, 87 grappling, 91 stamina, 89 chin, 88 defense, and a 92 physicality attribute rating. Dustin Poirier's standout attributes are his striking and stamina. We know that in this matchup Dustin is the way better fighter, but in his last matchup against Max Holloway he showed that he can put out a pace that will last all 5 rounds and he can keep it up consistently throughout the fight. Now, one thing that we cannot overlook with Dustin Poirier is he is also very physical. Now, he's not as physical as Khabib Nurmagomedov in the grappling department, but when it comes to the pure stand-up department, Dustin Poirier is very physically strong. He can hit very hard, he can stand his ground pretty firmly. It is pretty hard for people to push Dustin Poirier back and make him fight on the back foot. Once Dustin can sit on his punches, then we will see the power unload, then we will see the combinations flow in, then we will see the pressure and the physicality really get to the opponents. Now, with the fighter cards concluded, it is time for us to move over to the breakdown part of the fight. How will this fight play out? Looking at this fight on paper, we will see that it is quote-unquote yet another striker versus grappler matchup. Now, obviously it is pretty hard for Khabib Nurmagomedov to find a fellow great grappler, as he is, and match him up against him. So most of the time in the lightweight division, we will see predominant strikers go in there and try to fight Khabib. Now, so far they haven't been all that successful. So what can Dustin Poirier do differently to get a victory over Khabib Nurmagomedov? Personally, in my opinion, I do believe that Dustin Poirier is the most well-rounded, and he's probably the greatest threat that Khabib Nurmagomedov has ever faced up until now. What we have with Dustin Poirier is 1. Physical, pure strength. He is very hard to push back. The guy has good takedown defense. He himself has never been shy to shoot him for a takedown himself. Has great punching power, great combinations, is very good at smothering the opponent with volume punches once he has the opponent where he wants him to be. Then we will see the best Dustin Poirier. When we take a look at Khabib, then we will see that over these years he has definitely developed his patience and his ability to find a way to get the fight to the grappling department where he wants it to be. Early on in his career, he was very impatient. He would recklessly shoot him for a takedown. He would get very desperate. But nowadays, he's a lot more composed and a lot more patient. He has gained skills in his stand-up as well. So that also helped him with not being overly anxious when the fight was predominantly playing out in the stand-up department. Now, if we take a look at what both fighters fight like, we will see that they are both come forward fighters, and most of the time when two fighters who are coming forward predominantly, usually the fighter that is the grappler gets the advantage in most scenarios. However, as shown in the Al Iaquinta fight and in the Conor McGregor fight, we saw that Khabib Nurmagomedov had no troubles just going on the back foot immediately. That is a way for Khabib Nurmagomedov to be able to still maintain the range and find an opening to shoot in to get the fight to the ground. That is what he likes to do most of the time. And when we see Dustin Poirier coming forward, who is also a fighter that is somebody who likes to come forward as well, I would have to favor that the outside of the octagon will have to be taken by Khabib Nurmagomedov. And I believe that for the first time in a long while, we will see somebody who is very much so able to fight against an opponent with their back against the cage and continuously cut them off and break him down piece by piece. If we take a look at Conor McGregor, Conor is a fighter who was never really good at cutting off the opponent as they were circling around the octagon with round punches, whether it was a hook or a hooker cut, whatever it may be. It was more so a left straight down the middle or a jab 1-2, whatever it may be. Not too many round punches were thrown by Conor McGregor to stop an opponent from moving side to side. Al Iaquinta had a little bit more success, but he was very inconsistent and he was also too weary from Khabib Nurmagomedov's grappling. So if we take a look at the way Conor McGregor used to cut off or still cuts off the ring against his opponents, we will see that he will throw his left high kick and immediately follow that up with a left straight down the middle. So he will kind of position the opponent for the left hand setup, but not really so much to stop the opponent from moving from side to side, which Dustin Poirier can do very well. Which will lead me to believe that the first round is going to be a round in which Khabib will have to overcome some adversity. Now, whether he will or not, we will see come fight night. But in my opinion, I do believe that he will find a way to get the fight into a clinch or against the fence, or just ultimately into the grappling department. Because even though Khabib has developed his striking well enough to a point where he can be holding his own, I don't think that it is well-rounded enough to go in there and fight Dustin Poirier. However, what Khabib does present to the table is very fast yet powerful hands. His punches may not be the most traditional, but most of the time, it really gets the job done. We saw it against Khabib Nurmagomedov, we saw it against Al Iaquinta. It really does get the job done. Now, against Dustin, I don't know to what extent it will get the job done. I believe that he's not going to have too much success pure striking wise, but I do believe that he will have enough success to get the fight where he wants it to be. And where he wants the fight to be is obviously the grappling department. So how will the fight look there?
I lost myself inside of you.
Unquestionably, that department is going to be dominated by Khabib. Now, to what extent do we expect Dustin Poirier to win? Because when we talk about any fighter facing Khabib in the grappling department, it is only a question of how long can the opponent last, and that's really a great feat to have for Khabib. But I believe the question is bigger than that, because Khabib has always been a fighter that would take his time and slowly break down the opponent. He was never like Brock Lesnar, for example. Whenever Brock Lesnar had the opponent on the floor and he was able to posture up, he would instantly go ahead and try to TKO the opponent right then and there. With Khabib, because of the slower approach, I would have to believe that we're gonna see some stalling from Dustin Poirier's end, and in the end, I do believe that we will see Dustin Poirier slowly tire out a bit. Because as soon as Khabib is on the opponent and as soon as Khabib makes the opponent carry his weight, it's only a matter of time before the opponent is going to slow down. And by the end of it, it will either be a submission or a TKO win for Khabib when the fight does end up going the way he wants it to go. But in reality, how much can it really go his way in this matchup? Because we have an opponent in Dustin Poirier who has probably the most likely and highest landing chance on Khabib out of all of Khabib's opponents. And if Dustin Poirier can land consistently throughout the fight, it's only a matter of time before Khabib is going to start to slow down himself, maybe give up a chin. Dustin Poirier can land a perfect punch right on the button, and that can be it. Or Khabib can find a way to smother Dustin Poirier, get the fight in a clinch against the fence, drag him to the floor, and start to pin him there and get the fight to where he wants it to be, break the fighter down, and get a submission win or a TKO win. But with all that being said, who do I think will win come fight night? Personally, I will have to go with Khabib Nurmagomedov. I believe in this matchup, Khabib is going to have probably the hardest time to get the opponent down because fundamentally, Dustin Poirier is not going to be a fighter that is going to be throwing a lot of kicks that will make him retract a lot of distance and end up with his back against the cage, for example, like Edson Barboza ended up doing. I don't see Dustin Poirier overcommitting, overthrowing like Conor McGregor. So in the end, I do believe that we will see Dustin Poirier have the most success in the stand-up department out of any other Khabib Nurmagomedov opponent. Now, the chances of Dustin Poirier winning are very high in my opinion, but I do believe that Khabib is going to have a good enough chin to take enough shots, but more importantly, I do believe that his striking has come to a point where he can be calm, collected, and know what he's going to do. So in that aspect, I don't see Khabib being over anxious. I don't see him overcommitting or getting really desperate and leaving himself exposed to get countered. So once the pace of the fight starts to settle down a bit, that is where I believe Khabib will start to slowly gain momentum, get the fight down to the floor, and start to wear out Dustin Poirier. Whether it is going to be a submission, TKO, or decision, in the end, I do believe that Khabib Nurmagomedov will come out as the victorious fighter. And assuming that he has beaten Dustin Poirier, I would have to assume that we will finally get the Tony Ferguson versus Khabib fight that we have all been waiting for so long. But ultimately, guys, only time will tell how this fight will play out. Leave in the comment section down below who do you guys think will win come fight night. As always, I have been Keenan from Keenan KTV, signing off. Later.